A very good morning to you all, and today we begin with another lecture on the command line series. And today we'll be discussing how sed can be used to edit your files. So what I'll do is I'll first show you a sample file where there are some intended errors, and then using sed will correct this file and make it perfect. So let's have a look at the file now. And now from lecture 1, you know that if you want to have a look at the file, you could use the more command or the cat command. If you want to look at a part of the file and the head part, you can use the head command. Or if you want to look at the rear end of the file, if the file is too large, you can use the tail command. All these commands have been discussed in lecture 1, and you could click on the I button to have a look at the playlist, right? So let's have a look at the file. So I say more sed1.txt. That's the file name, sed1.txt. So here you are. This is your file. Welcome to Dr. Vipin's Biotech and Bioinformatics YouTube channel. In this lecture, we will learn the utility of sed or string editor. So sed stands for string editor. To show how sed is used, I make some intentional mistakes in this file. Mistakes will be corrected in live demonstration. The intention is to show you how to use sed to correct the errors, and we will see how these can be corrected, right? Once corrected, the file will be read fine. And if you like this lecture, do not forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Let's grow together. Thanks, Vipin. Right? So this is our file, and as a special comment, I mentioned that this file was written in command line and nano editor. And in some other video, we'll discuss how to use the nano editor, right? So here is the file, and you can see now there are several mistakes here. This is where you can use sed to correct your file. So I will first show you the most common syntax of using sed, and then of course some modifications that can be done, the extra switches that can be added to make sed more worthwhile. All right, so as already told you, sed stands for string editor, and the most common syntax in which sed is used is. So you say sed, open your apostrophe, and then you say S. S is for substitute. So most commonly, sed is being used to substitute one word by the other word, right? For example, here in this case, you're substituting pattern with replacement, right? So you open the first slash and you mention the word that you want to replace, and then close the slash, and then you mention the second word that you want it to be replaced with, right? And then close the slash again and close your apostrophe, and then give the file name to mention which file you want to do the correction in, right? And remember also, when you use this command, the correction will appear on the screen as such. It will not be written to the file as of now. This will substitute the first occurrence of pattern with replacement in a file. If you want to replace all patterns with replacement, then in that case, you could use the additional switch that is called global, and it is represented as G. So you say sed, then open your apostrophe, substitute, mention the word that you want to replace, and then next to it, you also mention the word that you want to replace it with. And then again, you mention a slash here, and then you give a global switch, which means for every occurrence of pattern, it will be replaced with replacement, right? And then, of course, you give the file name, and this, when you press enter, will show you now the file with the word pattern replaced with replacement across the file, right? So let's have a look at how this works, and then we come back here and we see how this basic pattern can be modified to have more precise editing in the file. So if you notice here, we would want to correct intentional first. Intentional is a word that comes only once in a file. So here you are, you say sed, and then you open your apostrophe, then you say substitute, then you mention the word that you want to correct. So in this case, it is intentional with an S, and then you mention the correct spelling of the word. So intentional, right? And then you close your statement and you give the file name. So this file name is sed1.txt, right? And you press enter here. And now if you see, your spelling has been corrected, right? But remember, the file is not written, right? So your original file still contains the same word as intentional, right? if I was to pronounce it with S. And what you want to do now is to also write to the file the correct pattern. So that can be done. So let's say you want to write it to a new file. So you can do that. You can say to the same command, you can add a greater than sign and write sed2.txt, right? When you do that, now you're writing to a new file. And you can say more sed2.txt. And that will give you the first correction here, that is intentional is now corrected, right? So let's say now you want to correct within the file itself and not change the name of the file. So you can do that as well. So we will use the original command, but this time we'll also add an additional switch, which is set and then -I for insert, right? So it will insert the correct word in the place of the wrong word in the same file, right? So here you are, and you run this, and now you can say more sed1.txt, and you should have your intentional replaced in the file now with the correct spelling. So here you are, if you can see, this is corrected now. This is your sed1.txt now, right? You're looking at sed1.txt, and the words, the spelling stands corrected, right? So there are more mistakes here. Let's try and correct those mistakes also. And let's try to do it in one single statement. Here, along with -I, will use a -E switch. So when you say -E, you can give additional statements within the same sed statement. So you can say sed -E, and then you start with the first command here. You say substitute dis with this this, right? And then you close your command here, and then you say -E again, and substitute again, and open the apostrophe, substitute FILEE with FILE, and close your pattern, and close the slash. Then you give your close the statement with an apostrophe, and then give the file name sed1.txt, right? And this time we're not writing to the file for now. We'll see first what comes in the terminal, and then we'll go back and write to a file. So here you are. If you see this time now, this is replaced, and so is file, right? So this is an example of how you can correct multiple errors in one single statement of sed. So remember, we have corrected only in the terminal, not in the file. So now let's say you want to correct it in the file itself. So again, we can use the same command with the -I switch now, right? So let's write the -I switch. So you say sed -I -E, and then you could now write the first pattern. So you say substitute, and then you say dis with this, close the pattern, close the apostrophe. Then you could say again -E, and then again you can start with the second pattern, and you say substitute, and then the first the file EE with FILE, right? And then again you close the substitution pattern and close the apostrophe, and then you give the file name sed1.txt. So here you are, you're saying sed -I because you want to replace the word in the file itself, -E because you're giving multiple correction statements. Then first one is where you're replacing dis with this. -E, again, you say substitute S, and then you're substituting file with a double E with a single E here. And then again, you close your slash and you close your apostrophe. You give the file name sed1.txt. So this is perfect. This should work. Let's see if this works or not. You press enter here, and here you are. Now you can look at your sed1.txt, and this time let me use the cat command. So cat sed1.txt. Here you are. This file, right? Now let's say you are looking at this word here, mistakes. Mistakes comes in this line twice. And the second one, because it is coming after the full stop, it must have a capital N, right? So now within a line, how do you specifically modify the second occurrence of a string is the question, right? So I hope you get it right again. Within one line, you're trying to modify the second occurrence of a string and replace the second occurrence of the string with a new word or the correct word for that, right? So here you are, you can use the same pattern, but with a slight modification. So you say said, and then you can minus I switch because you're going to correct in the file itself. Then you say substitute, then you're substituting mistakes with capital M, M-I-S-T-A-K-E-S, and you want to correct the second occurrence of mistakes in this line. So you say 2, right? And you close your apostrophe. Everything is correct now, and you say said1.txt, that is the file name, and you press enter here, right? Now let's see if this has been corrected or not. So remember, we're looking at this one here, right? So let's see that again. So I say more said1.txt, and here you are. Mistakes have been corrected. So what did we do? We mentioned that we are only wanting to correct the second occurrence of mistakes, right? Had we not done this, it would have corrected the first one, or had we written global, it would have corrected both ones, right? So up till now, we have seen how to replace the first occurrence of a word in a file. And then we've also seen how to replace the second occurrence of a word in a line. So this could be second, third, fourth, depending on what you specify after the last slash here, right? So if you write 3, the third occurrence of that word in a particular line will be replaced. So let's say we want to now replace this B with BE. And what we'll do is we'll first have a look at the terminal itself, and then we'll go back and try and see how we can actually specify the pattern and get the exact correction, right? Now, let's say you want to replace the word globally across the file. So let's say you have made a mistake in the spelling of the word because you knew it that way and that spelling is not correct. So you'd want to correct that particular word across the file. So how do you do that is now we see next. So here is a statement about chlorine that I pick up from, say, Wikipedia and slightly modify it so as to ensure that the word chlorine comes multiple times and the chlorine is misspelled. So for example, here, CHLORIENE should actually be CHLORINE. So chlorine is a chemical element with the symbol Cl and atomic number 17. Chlorine, again with the wrong spelling, is second lightest of the halogens. Chlorine is a yellow-green gas at room temperature. Chlorine, again with the wrong spelling, is an extremely reactive element and a strong oxidizing agent. So basically, everywhere where there is a word called chlorine, it is misspelled. So now you want to correct it globally. All words where chlorine comes must be replaced with the correct spelling. So how do you use set to do that? So you can first, let's say you echo this out. So you're printing this to the terminal using the echo command in Linux. So let's press enter here. Right, so this is your statement. Now you want to replace chlorine with the correct spelling. So what we do is we pipe this out onto said, and then you say substitute, and then you say substitute CHLORIENE with CHLORINE, the correct spelling. And now you give an additional switch that is going to be global. So global means every single occurrence of this word in the line or in the file will be replaced by the correct spelling. And you close this and you press enter again, right? So when you press enter now, it should come on the terminal again. So here you are. So now if you see, this is the correct spelling. Chlorine is the chemical element with the symbol Cl and atomic number 17. And then chlorine is the second lightest of all the halogens. Chlorine is a yellow-green gas at room temperature, and chlorine is an extremely reactive element and a strong oxidizing agent, right? So everything now is corrected, and every occurrence of the word chlorine is now corrected to the correct spelling. So this is how you can use the global switch to correct something across the file. So then we move on and we talk of other usage of sed. So let's say now we go back to our original file. So let me clear this out. Now, if you see, there are still some mistakes here. For example, this one here and this one here. And we will see how these can be corrected, right? So now this is a special case where we want a very specific small b to be replaced with be. So you need to give additional tags that cannot work with a single replacement, because then only the first b will be replaced. It cannot work with global replacement, because then all the b's that are there will be replaced by the word that you give as a substitute. So you need to very precisely define which b you want to correct. You have to somehow instruct through the set command that you want specifically the b that is preceded by can or preceded by corrected has to be replaced by be, right? So let's see how you do this. So let's write sed again, sed, and then again you can begin your set command with substitute. And now, so one way of doing this would be to write not just b but can be. So can be is something that will not appear more than once in your file likely. So you can say can be can be with can be, and that should be fine. And you can say you don't need to say global because you're just correcting one error here, and you can close this and you can say sed1.txt and see what comes out of here. So you press enter, and now you can see can be has been corrected. So the uniqueness of the pattern that you give for identification of the word that you want to replace is important. So let's have a look at our file one more time. So let me clear this out. And we go back to more sed1.txt, which is now partially corrected. And then, of course, we have not made a correction to be corrected because we just did it on the terminal, not on the file, because we did not use the -i switch. So now let's have a look at this file more precisely. And so we are still here and we want to correct this B to BE. And one of the ways is to replace can be with can BE. What is the other way of doing this? So other way of doing this is to again tag B with a certain word that comes only once in this file. For example, here, this is a small file, so you know that C would come only once, right? So it is not coming up elsewhere. And we will see how this can be protected. So C is the word that can be used as a tag to define that the correction has to be done in the line that contains C, and what is to be corrected is B to BE, right? So let's write the statement again. So what you can do is you can use a tag that comes uniquely in that particular line, and then only that particular word will be replaced. So for example, you can say sed, right? And then open your apostrophes, and then you can define the word that uniquely comes in the line that you want to correct. So for example, here in this case, we will use C. C is not coming anywhere else. So you can say C, and then you can use your substitute, and you can substitute B with BE and close everything and close the apostrophe and say sed1.txt, right? And you press enter here. And now if you see, this can be corrected, right? So this is now corrected. So this one here now stands corrected. So apart from the first occurrence and the global occurrence, you could also exactly define which occurrence of the word you want to replace, and that can be done using some tags, right? So, and now we can write to the file also. So let's also try one more thing. You can also specifically define the row number where you want to correct the occurrence of the word and replace it with the right word. So how do you do that? You need to know the row number of the line that you want to look at. So if you remember from my awk lectures, you can see what is the row number of the line that you want to correct by using awk. And then again, the typical pattern in awk, you start with an apostrophe and you're directly giving the action. So you say print, and in awk, the row number is given by nr. And then, of course, you are giving a /t, and then you are printing the line here. So the line in awk is represented by $0. and you close your curly brackets and you close your apostrophe and you give your file name sad1.txt, right? So this is the line number that you want to correct now. This one, line number 9 is where you want to correct B with BE. So here you are, you can say said, and then you can start your statement. You know it is line number 9 that you want to correct, so you can say said 9, and then you can substitute B for BE, right? And you can close the bracket and you can give sad1.txt, right? And you press enter, and here you are. Remember, for editing the file, the switch is -I or insert. So we'll use the -I switch now, right? And we use the -I. And sad1.txt is fine, and you press enter, and that should work, right? And you can have a look at the file again. So more sad1.txt, and here you are, right? So this is everything fine. So B has come here. Now there is another problem. Corrected is incorrect here, and the same spelling is here, which is also incorrect. Now you want to rectify the every occurrence of corrected with the correct spelling, right? So how do you do that? So for that, we'll use the global switch again. So here you are, we can write the global switch now. So we'll say sad -I, and then we start with the apostrophe, then we say substitute, and first the pattern that we want to substitute, corected. This is what we are, corected, and then with the correct spelling, corrected, right? And then you close the pattern, close the apostrophe, and give the file name. So sad1.txt, right? So this time you're directly writing to the file with the correct spelling. So you press enter, CLEAR, and then we say more sad1.txt, right? So here you are, the spelling stands corrected, and it is corrected at both the positions. So globally across the file, it is corrected, right? So let's look for other mistakes here if there are any. So let us go through the file one more time. The only thing you want to correct here is the V for WE. Now we need to substitute V for VE, and you know there are several ways of doing it. You could do it by mentioning the line number, or you could do it by mentioning a tag. In this case, you could use the capital "and" as your tag, and that should come only once in the across the file. So that should allow you to reach that file. But a better option would be line number, and line number we know because it corrected for V, we know this line number is 9. So we will directly use that format. So we say said, right? Open the apostrophe, line 9, and then we say substitute V for WE, and we close the pattern here, and sad1.txt. We are still not writing to the file. We are first checking whether a command is working or not. If it works, we'll just add a -I switch and write to the file. So you press enter, and here you are. So you replace and V, right? So this is in line number 9 that has been replaced. So we can now add the -I switch to it. So we say -I, and there you are. And we can have a look at the file one more time. Let's say clear, and we say more sad1.txt, right?